Teaching with Zoom, Canvas, PowerPoint, and YouTube, an adaptation. My name is Don Lauder. I teach biology at California State University, Sacramento. I teach the biology course for non-science majors, and so you'll see that this is a different type of course. But 8 months ago, most of us had to make this sudden, pretty drastic, very drastic transition from classroom to online teaching. And 7 or 8 months later, I and so many others are foggy-headed. So I just thought about it and came up with this quote about online teaching. Not only have we, for a time, abandoned a lifetime of walking into a classroom, talking to kids, and writing on a board, we've jumped from 100 generations of that tradition in the last 8 months. So I put this video together not because I think I know what I'm doing, but because I wanted to share with other instructors what they've discovered, and it's this vast ocean of bits and pieces of teaching with these elements of Zoom, Canvas, PowerPoint, YouTube, and third-party apps. And so I want to share this with you. Here's my Facebook page. You can contact me via that. And so I want to show you how I have done these things. I'm going to show how I've adapted Zoom, Canvas, PowerPoint, and YouTube to teach a course that doesn't have these big textbook question banks. It can be a medium to large class, 40 or more. I have 55 students in mind. My core strategy, and the most important aspect of it, is the 2 1-point or small number of points auto-graded Canvas quizzes per lecture. One quiz at the start of class and then another one at the end of class. This 2 quizzes per class session format keeps the students engaged in the lectures. The first quiz, which covers the previous lecture session, the previous class session, a couple of days before, for my case, gets them to review their notes before class, which is an important part of learning. It also, and then the second quiz, covering the previous 45 minutes of lecture, so the end of class quiz, keeps them engaged in the class, keeps them writing notes. I don't give them the PowerPoints before the class sessions. They have to write, or in some cases they'll just take screenshots or photos of my PowerPoints. This 2-quiz format also keeps attendance, since the auto-graded scores go they immediately integrate into the Canvas Gradebook. And so that's a real strong point to this protocol, so that absences and late joiners into the Zoom session are easily seen, because it's just a dashed line for the first quiz in each session. I use Canvas fill-in-the-blank question format nearly exclusively, because I believe that these fill-in-the-blank, format is pedagogically superior to true and false, and to the average multiple choice question. Multiple choice questions can be done very well, so that they're more have more depth than a single word fill in the blank question. But the average multiple choice, the answer is sitting in front of the students. And in the case of fill in the blank, they have to recall and write in the usually 1 or 2 word answer. Plus, the multiple choice take more effort to create. It's quite easy to create these fill in the blank quizzes in Canvas New Quiz. However, there are many tips and tricks to using Canvas New Quiz, so I go over these. I also outline how I've adapted Zoom to quickly jump between my PowerPoint slides and the all-important 1 to 3 minute YouTube videos during lecture, while at the same time keeping the chat and participant windows always visible, which is really important. And so I use a single monitor format instead of the dual monitors. I found the dual monitors to be difficult to negotiate for these things to do this. All right, so then just want to say that the strategies that I outline here don't include, I just talk about my core strategy of the 2 quizzes and then using YouTube. I don't include here the other parts of the Canvas, such as the Canvas discussions, term papers, projects, essay, exams, or the Zoom breakout rooms for discussion during class. I don't cover that. I do want to talk about a third-party app called EdPuzzle, which I highly recommend because EdPuzzle uses short videos from YouTube, mostly from YouTube, with questions within the video. So the students have to answer the questions indicating that they are paying attention. And then these scores integrate automatically into Canvas Gradebook. And so it's really useful. I'm trying to get Sacramento State to purchase it because I use it a lot, and students give me really good feedback about these. They're easy to do, and they just indicate that the student has been paying attention to the subject. Very easy multiple choice quizzes within these EdPuzzles. The following slides, I'm going to show the relevant, how I show at the beginning of class relevant science news, at the beginning of lecture. Then the lecture material is underlined that students must write down for quizzes. So the underlined material is the material that I can use on quizzes. If it's not underlined, then it's just support material. And then how to use the Alt-Tab keys to quickly go to YouTube videos during lecture. All right, so this is a typical slide, underlined material. This is, in this case, some science news that came out, in this case, a graph, and then I support that with underlined material that I want students to write down. This is the material that can be on a quiz. This is the basic format that I use. Okay, and so my slides, I use the Windows snipping tool. It's my most useful tool, snipping parts of web pages images and pasting them straight into my PowerPoints, and that is how I sort of flesh out my lecture material. And so all of these are snippets that I have used, that I have taken from various web pages or emails. Here's one that's a headline from a Reddit. I'm a part of a Reddit group on COVID-19, and so I start every class, in this case, these days, with COVID-19 news, and then again, this is review material for the students, talking about how the vaccines are developed. And so this underlying material can be on the quiz at the end of class. So they have to write this down, and I give them time. I spend several minutes on this slide, and then I'll say, okay, I'm going to the next slide. And so they have to write that material down. Some of them will just be taking photos with their camera of the slide. Here's another example of the science news that I put up that's relevant to the course. I don't make the PowerPoints available to the students before class, mainly because the way I work is that I work on these lectures right up until class, and so I just can't do a PowerPoint lecture without reviewing and making some changes. And as it turns out, I have them write the lecture material, so writing down that underlying material is good note-taking practice for first-year students. So that is the format that I use. So underlying material here again is a snip that I took from a website that about renewable energy. And so here's another snip, and then I have these, I'll put the URL for a YouTube video right down in the slide, and then all you have to do is right click on it and then go to open hyperlink, and it will go to that video. All right, and so I can just demonstrate that very quickly. Okay, and then with the Alt tab, I go after the video, I can just go straight back to, so that Alt tab is very handy. And again, this is the format that I use. I don't use the PowerPoint slideshow. I use the PowerPoint development mode for all of my presentations. So again, here is, when you do get into YouTube, you have to make sure autoplay is off. Otherwise, when you go back to your PowerPoints, it'll start another video that it thinks is related. Okay. So again, here's the link. You right-click on it and then open the hyperlink, and it goes to the video. Then in YouTube, you can, after searching for your subject, in this case, the lecture is on addiction, so addiction biology, and then you can filter when those come up, there will be a lot of them that are very long, like 50 minutes, 40 minutes, 30 minutes, and you can filter for the short. And so just go to filter, and then I also filter for a high view count so all of them have to be short. So this is a 2-minute and 20-second video on the science of addiction, and it has a high view count, so a lot of teachers are using it, and that usually gets me some pretty good videos. A lot of them from Britain. A lot of them are British. Okay, so before we go to the video, to show the Zoom setup sequence, I'll show you how some of the important elements of Zoom. First, you want to set up your browser and PowerPoint so that when you share your screen, it's not going to show something, like your emails or something. You set it up so that it's showing some science news is what I do. Then, as you get ready to set up your Zoom session, you want to, this is your PowerPoint, and you want to slide the right edge of your PowerPoint as well as your browser, or your browser over, because you're going to put here your chat window, your participants window in Zoom, okay, are going to be over here. The students won't see these. All they will see is your desktop or whatever you have here. So be careful to minimize everything else, like Word documents and whatever, so that students will see. They won't see your chat window. They'll have a chat window, but they won't see yours. Okay, so start your Zoom session. Then, very important, when Zoom starts, for this format that I'm going to show you, you want to exit full screen, and that's going to be a button up here. So sometimes often it'll go to full screen mode. You want to exit full screen first. Then down here in the Zoom controls, you want to start your video. You need to start your video, so be ready, because that's going to show you. You have to do that in order to get the format set up that we are going to use. Then after that, you click your share screen. This is important. Right, you click your share screen, and again, over here, it's going to be your chat and participants windows. So this is the edge of your browser and PowerPoint here. Okay, then click on participants, and that will show up here, and you'll move it over, and then click on more, and within more is your chat window, and that's important. So those are going to show up right in the middle of your screen, and you can drag them over to this side. So I'm going to show what that looks like in the next slide, but you need to drag them over. You're going to drag your chat over here, your participants over here, and then you're going to have there's two participant windows. Okay, so you're going to share your entire screen in this format. So have your your PowerPoint slide ready and your browser ready for what you want your students to see. Okay, so I have it set up. This is PowerPoint here. I have it set up to view all slides, because the students can review. They can see what we've covered, and that's that little choice down here. Your Zoom controls are up here. And when you move the cursor up, then they will show. Okay, again, this is the edge, the right edge of your PowerPoint is right here, as well as your browser. Okay. And then here's your chat window. Here's your participants, the two participant windows. Students do not see these. They have their own chat window, but they do not see yours. They do not see this one or this one here. Okay. And so here's your chat window. Make sure that chat is set to everyone. So when a student messages you, it's going to show that student's name here, and you can answer that student, but then you need to go back to set it to everyone. So you need to learn to switch back to everyone. Then it's important to click on the three dots and set it to host only. And so you'll see me doing that in the video. That's my preference, because otherwise the students will be messaging back and forth during lecture, and it's just like in class, if they're passing notes to each other or talking, it's disruptive to the lecture. Okay, so let's go to the video to see how these things are done. After the video, I'll show more slides on how to set up Canvas new quiz, fill in the blank quizzes, and how to give those two quizzes. Okay, I'm going to show you the process that I start 10 minutes before class. I start the session. I'll show that in just a minute. I get my browser ready. I put the right edge over of my browser. I bring up a page that I want the students to see, and then I click on Zoom. So I've got the browser and PowerPoint edges, the right edge pushed over. I start the session, and again, this is 10 minutes before class. The students know. I also make this my office hours time, 10 minutes before and 10 minutes after class. And that's it. So then you click on Exit Full Screen. All right, make sure to you join with computer audio. Then Exit Full Screen first. Then down to the Start Video, and that is just here to come up for a couple of seconds here. There it is. So you start your video, and that makes some changes. Then you're going to share your entire screen. So you see it blue up there. It says your entire screen. You're going to share that. All right. So then I go to my PowerPoint, and I show whatever I want the students to see in the 10 minutes before class. Okay. I go up and since I use development mode, I minimize that ribbon. And again, see, I don't use slideshow. All right, so then I can go to a Canvas page that, such as the most recent announcement. I can show them, but usually I just go to the PowerPoint that I want them to see. And again, this is getting towards 5 minutes before class, and maybe a quarter of the students have come on. Actually, it's only about 10 or 15% will get on this early. But I encourage them to get on early, so that if something, if their connection is bad and they have to restart the computer or restart the modem, they have time to do that. And then this is also the time that they should be reviewing the last lecture, because okay, so now I've hit, so now I go up to more, click on more, and click on chat. It brings up, and you've seen how I move those over. So when you click on the participants, and it brings that page, that window, you move it over to that right side. And then you make sure that your chat is set to everyone. When you get a message, as I have in this case, it will show the student's name, and I can message them back privately. But then you have to remember to click on everyone again. Then the three dots to the right, I click on host only, can put in messages because I found that students chat back and forth. And then click on more again, and you set to use computer sound, because I'm going to be playing YouTube videos. So there's the panel again. You've seen how when you put your arrow up there, it comes down. So again, this is all in the 10 minutes before class. So then I get ready, I bring up, I have the URLs for the quizzes all queued up in Notepad. And so I'm going to write in here the 9 a.m. quiz and copy that URL. Then at 8:59, I paste it into the chat window. Okay, there, copied it. I'm going to go down to the chat window, make sure that it is going to everyone, and then paste that in. Now, when students join, every time the bell dings for someone joining, you have to paste it in again, because the students who join after you've pasted in that URL, they don't see the URL. They don't see what you've put into your chat window to everyone. So remember that. All right, so usually I set it here to, or I set it to an information-intensive PowerPoint slide so that for the 3 or 4 minutes, they have something to look at. Here's how I go to the YouTube video again. You right-click on the hyperlink. It goes to YouTube, and you play. Then when it's done, you're going to use the Alt-Tab keys to go right back. If you do Alt-Tab once, it goes right back to this, to your PowerPoint. All right, so okay, I'm going to show here how to create the fill-in-the-blank quizzes for these short 1 and 2 question quizzes at start and end of class sessions. I'm not going to show exactly, every step in creating your first quiz, mainly, but you need to start here, start a quiz, and you'll get this box, and you want to click on new quizzes. Then from here, I'm going with, after you've created your first quizzes, how to use them as templates, because you're going to be doing this 2 quizzes for every class session. That's what I do. And so what you can do then is take your previous quiz and you click over here. Don't click on the name of the, you want to click over here, the 3 dots to the right of the one that you want to copy, and then click duplicate. Okay, and so there is a quiz template for the 9 a.m. quiz, and then there's one for the 9:48 a.m. quiz, which I just do that. I'm not sure whether it's necessary, but it will show up as a copy. All right, then when you want to edit, you need to click over here, the 3 dots, and edit. Okay, so click these 3 dots of the copy, and this will take you to the first stage of quiz editing, which is the old quiz format. All right, that's Canvas has sort of put the new quiz format on top of the old quiz format. And so it's going to take you to the page of the old quiz format here. So you need to change the name. And you're going to have to change the name also in new quiz. It's a little bit clunky. But then I set the number of attempts to 2 because it's only going to be a 2-minute, 1 minute for each quiz. You will have to change to make this setting also in new quiz, another thing that's a little bit clunky. Then change the date and make sure the time is correct and click save. And after you click save, it goes to the new quiz setup, right? And when you're in the new quiz setup, you have to change the name again back, to what the same name that you just put into the old quiz. It's just the way it is. So your previous quiz questions will be there, and so you can just erase it and create and put in the new question, right? When you do create your first quiz, you'll get this, or if you click the blue plus button to create a new question, you'll get this. Okay, so you do have all these choices, but I use fill in the blank almost exclusively. So this is what it'll look like when you you have your old question here, and then you can write in the new one. What I do is I go to my PowerPoints and I just copy whatever line I want. So then when after you've typed you can just type a statement actually, and then you select the word that they'll have to fill in the blank, and you press enter. And once you press enter, then you get these choices here. And I like the close enough one. The close enough choice is one where you can give them the ability to misspell, although I'm going to show in a couple of slides that the browsers all now have spell check. So this, what they call Levenstein distance, which allows you to accept any phonetic answer, which for non-science majors, on the written tests, if they misspell photosynthesis or eutrophication or whatever, but it's, I give them full credit. That's the main thing. But with the main thing about using the close enough is that you can have it ignore case, because sometimes they'll capitalize an answer and other times they will not. And the other choices, which I will show you, they don't have the ignore case, make it case insensitive. So here is what I'm talking about with the spell check. You can go to, once you have your question in and your quiz ready, you can preview the quiz. And so I've done that. I've previewed it, and then I put in a misspelled answer. And you can see this red underline here. That's done by the browser. And so you can't really test the student's ability to recall the spellings of these words, which I think would be important for science majors. But just keep that in mind, that's something that Canvas hasn't really, looks like they haven't really covered in this fill in the blank protocol. Another option in the is to specify correct answers if you have more than one answer. So the answer here is oxygen, but I will also accept O2. But this option doesn't have the case, ignore the case. So you have to put in capitalize oxygen, not capitalize oxygen and O2. All of these I will accept. And that's a little bit clunky. So I am waiting for more artificial intelligence in this testing. Google, are you listening? We need more artificial intelligence in these quizzing protocols. Okay, so then you need to go to settings, and your first time you create the quiz, you're going to have to set all of these things. But the main reason I use a template, I copy the previous quiz because all these will be there. I like to shuffle the questions. Shuffle answers is for multiple choice. I shuffle the questions. I do one question at a time. Time limit, 1 minute for each of the two. I allow 2 attempts. Okay, so I put 2 attempts of 1 minute each. And so then this is really important down here. You want to, if you're going to allow multiple attempts, you need to make sure this is unchecked, this box, show correct answer. You want to indicate if the response is correct or incorrect, and I'll show you in the next slide that what the students learn to do if they have multiple attempts is to use the first attempt as they just put in dummy answers, and then they see the answer, the correct answer is given. This is the default. This is why you have to go into settings and do all of this. You want to show that the answer is that they've got an incorrect answer, but you don't want to show the correct answer because they're able to take take the quiz once more. So all you want them to see is this, that they've gotten it incorrect, and then they can take it again. And so that's why those settings are important. That's also something that probably will be corrected in the next version of New Quiz. It'd be really easy for Canvas to have you be able to show the correct answer after the last attempt of the quiz, but they haven't done that. So when you finish the quiz and you're back at the quiz page, then you've got your 1 or 2 questions in there and it's all set up. You've used the preview and tried it. Then when you're back here in the quizzes, you can right-click. You right-click on the name and you can copy the link address. And then I use Notepad to paste in that URL because every quiz and every assignment, but every quiz has its own URL. And so you're going to paste this in a couple of minutes before class starts. Okay, so for my class, it's 9 a.m. The students can't get to it. They can't open it until 9 a.m. because I have specified in the quiz when I first set that up that it is available from 9 o'clock, 9:00, or in this case, for the 9 a.m. quiz from 9:00 to 9:01. I give them 1 minute to get in. Then after that, they have 2 minutes. They have 1 minute for each attempt. And that's plenty of time for these, the questions that I give them, which are, one-word answers. Then here's the one that you put in right before the 948 quiz. And so I let students review their notes for 3 or 4 minutes. And this question is always about the lecture that we've just finished. The 9 a.m. quiz is about the previous lecture. So if it's Wednesday, it's about Monday's lecture. Then after the students finish the quiz, these auto-graded scores go straight into Canvas Gradebook. All right, so this is the real strength of using the auto-graded new quizzes. And so here's Gradebook. If the students missed class, then you see a dash, only see a dash. If they get both questions correct, they have a 1. If they get one wrong, they get half the credit. Okay, so let's look at a video recording of the setup of the new quiz. First, I go to my PowerPoints, and I often just select the precise line that's underlined so that the students know exactly, they've written that down. And then I go to quizzes, start a quiz. This is what it looks like when you're creating your first quiz. I showed you how to use these as templates once you create one, but this is the very start. So you'll go in and you'll put in the quiz name. You will have to do this again in New Quiz. That's just the way it is with this new setup with New Quiz put on top of the old quiz. You also, I put in the number of attempts is 2. So now put in the date and the time. Be sure to click Done for the start. So I put in 9 a.m. Then I'm going to give them 1 minute. So I'm going to put in that it's available for 1 minute until 9:01 a.m. That's because once they start, they have 2 minutes. That's just the way Canvas is set up. So I have it as number of attempts as 2. Then click Save, and it goes to the new quiz. Okay, from the old quiz format to the new quiz. And so you'll see your build and the blue plus button. It will go to settings in a few minutes. Click the blue plus button, and then you get those choices. I use fill in the blank. Then I paste in where it says type a statement. That's the only thing I use. Type a statement. I paste it in as text, and then I select the word that is, so I'm taking out UV because I want the answer to be ultraviolet. And so I'll show you how I clarify that that's important. So I select that word, press enter once you select the word that is your answer. And you get that open entry, and then you get these choices. I used close enough almost exclusively, although I did show you an alternative to that because it can ignore case, and then I put in that they can misspell it in 3 different ways, and I'll show you that. And then I clarify that I want a word, not the acronym for ultraviolet, not UV. Then I put in the number of points. I do 1-point quizzes, so I have 2 questions. I put in half a point, and that's pretty much all I do. So then we go to settings, and this is what it'll look like when you do it the first time. And so that's, again, why you want to use the previous quizzes as templates, because you don't have to do all of this. So I use a time limit of 1 minute for each quiz. And then I allow, so then you have to go down to restrict student view. This is really important, as I showed you. I want to show the student response. I want to indicate that this response is correct or incorrect, but then I want to make sure that the show the correct answer is not checked if I'm doing multiple attempts. And so I think here I go, okay, so I had unlimited attempts. It doesn't matter in this case. And so we return, it should go back to the quiz page. We go down, find that, and then you want to publish, make sure it's published. Then I'm going to go over and let's see, I think I'm going to go back into new quiz. So when you click on the name, so you can edit, the edit goes back, when you click on the 3 dots and edit, it goes into the old quiz. And you check everything. And then when you save, okay, I'm canceling out because I want to show that when you click on the name, it goes to new quiz, to edit new quiz. All right, so I'm going to click, right click here, and then, actually no, I left clicked, and goes in, and I want to preview. So I'm going to preview my question. I'm going to misspell it in a couple of ways, at least 2 ways. Now, when I misspell violet, you'll see the red line there that the browser, the spell check, puts in. But if they, so I submit, I put in a Levenshtein distance of 3, so it gives them as the point, although it does not show the correct answer, because as I showed you, on the second attempt, they can just copy that correct answer. So putting ultraviolet as 2 words, that would not have been caught by the spell check. Then this is moderate. You can go in and moderate. You can look at the progress. I don't do that for these very short quizzes that are just one. Usually the students are done in 1 minute. And so return, and then I should go down here to, all right, so return, and that is, the quiz is ready. So you're going to copy that URL and put it in to the, you're going to copy that URL of the quiz to be able to put it into the chat box at 8:59 a.m. or just 1 minute before. Okay, so I have copied the URL from Notepad. I paste it in to the chat box, making sure that it is going to everyone. And then, so this is 1 minute before start of class, 9 o'clock. Then as students join, you hear that ding, you have to paste in the URL each time, because if they join after you start, after you've pasted in the URL, they don't see the URL. Okay, so you have to paste it in every time someone joins late. So they have 1 minute to start the quiz from 9:00 to 9:01, and then they have 2 minutes to take the quiz. Okay, so when you set that that time that it's available when you're developing the quiz to 1 minute, that's for them to start the quiz. Then they have 2 minutes, they have 1 minute for each attempt to take the quiz. Okay, so then the students who join late after 9:01 cannot start the quiz, but the students who started the quiz between 9:00 and 9:01, they can take 2 minutes. They can take more, because after attempt number 1, they can wait and they can make attempt number 2 actually later. So that's why I do not show the answers until the next lecture, because it's a little bit of a gray area about if they have 2 attempts and they take attempt number 1, it seems to allow them to take attempt number 2 quite a while later. And finally, I would like to mention EdPuzzle, which is my most useful third-party app. It should be in your Canvas menu there. EdPuzzle, you can get into EdPuzzle and search for any subject, the subject that you want the students to learn. So in this case, type 2 diabetes. Then when it comes up, it shows the time and then the number of questions. The questions are easy. It just ensures that the students have watched and are paying attention, and they can click as they go through. They get a question they're not sure about, they can rewatch the 10 seconds of the video that precedes the question. The questions are interspersed throughout the video. Often I just go to YouTube and find these, and then search on EdPuzzle for them. Make sure when you do find one that all of the questions are multiple choice, because only multiple choice can be auto-graded. So I delete all of the questions that are open-ended, or because sometimes they'll have mostly multiple choice and then a few open-ended. You need to delete those unless you want to hand grade them, which I don't want to do with 55 students. And you can also add your own multiple choice questions. And then you click Assign, and you go through the procedures there to assign it to your class. I click on Prevent Skipping, and then turn on closed captions. Then go to Canvas and start a new assignment. And when you do, you can you put in the number of points that you want it to be. Then go down to the drop down that has External Tool and find EdPuzzle. Click on it, and your videos will come up that you assigned within EdPuzzle. You assign it. Those scores go straight into Gradebook alongside the quiz scores lined up how you like. You do have to put short titles to your assignments because of the limitations of the column, the labeling in Gradebook. Okay, thank you for watching. Stay, have a good time teaching. Be sure to get out to places where you can clear your head and take a break, take a sabbatical, and when things settle down, and we can maybe communicate down the road.